Today I'm going to show you how to deploy Flux Dev to RunPod, which basically allows us to have our own image API, similar to what MidJourney does, but at a fraction of the cost, but pretty much the exact same quality, with a lot more privacy, with a lot more ability to fine-tune, to customize, so that you can build your own startup, that you can build like your own image generation flow. Basically at a fraction of the cost, and also at a very comparable, if not sometimes even better quality. So let's dive in. So the first thing we need when we're going to deploy something in RunPod is a pod on RunPod. That means we're going to go to runpod.io. We're going to basically either create an account if we don't have one just yet, or we're going to sign into the existing one. I've already created one, but if you haven't, it's very simple. Just sign up, put your credit card details. It's like basically pay as you go. So no subscriptions, which is very convenient. And let's get started. So this is the dashboard or the console. To find and start new pods, we're actually going to go to manage and then pods. That allows us to start new machines. So this is actually quite an important consideration. Which pod are we going to run? There are two models, Flux Dev and Flux Schnell, that are open weights. That basically means that we can play around with them, we can use them, we can employ them ourselves. For this use case, we're actually going to go with Flux Dev. It's the larger model, which allows us to basically create better quality images. And if I do recall correctly, I think it has a minimum requirement of around 30 VRAM. I think the absolute minimum is like around 22, because it is a 12 billion parameter model. But so we definitely have to choose something with over 30 gigabytes of VRAM. So I think ideally we're going to go with L40 or L40S. So I'm going to go with that. We can actually also see here, which is pretty cool, the image generations or images per second. So we have a bit of an indicator how fast images are being generated. The further up we go, this should be, we can see that the images per second are a little higher, although that is a bit of a heuristic. It's still very, very interesting to see. We can also see that the cost per image is a little higher, obviously because this is more than 3 times the cost of the L40S. So I think just experiment a bit with your requirements, whether you need something that generates something very fast and at scale. Then an H100 might be very good. If you just want something like a single server or a smaller project at first, then L40S might be perfectly fine, and you can actually go lower depending on your use case. So let's go with the L40S for now. And we are going to call this Flux pod. Perfect. So for the template, we actually have to go to change template. We're going to type in Flux, and you just scroll down and going to go with Komoduru Flux One Dev Temp, or the Flux One Dev ComfyUI. ComfyUI is a visual builder that allows us to interact with AI models in a very comfortable and visual way. That's especially useful for image models because you can specify different inputs. You can specify prompts. You can it's very, very comfortable to use it. So we're going to go with this one, and then we're actually going to go to edit template, and I think this should be perfectly fine, so we don't need to override anything. Honestly, I think I'm just going to go with 100 and 100. I think that's just to be safe, but feel free to just leave it as a default. Okay, let's apply it. Perfect. So this will honestly just take a few seconds to start. Once this is started, we can actually open the logs and we can see that the model is actually being downloaded. This will definitely take a while because it is quite a big model. So we're just going to wait, and I'll be back when this is done. Perfect. We've downloaded the model and we're ready to connect to it. We should have the connect button available now. If we click on it, we can actually see this HTTP service running. That service is running ComfyUI. Let's open it. Perfect. So this is basically how ComfyUI looks like. It's a node-based visual editor. So like all of these things here are nodes, and it's, yeah, as mentioned, it is definitely for more professional users, because it has a bit of a learning curve, but once you play around with it, it is not that hard. So that being said, how do we actually turn this into something useful? The easiest way to do this is to import a workflow that works really well. For example, the person that created this ComfyUI Flux template has actually helped us a bit. He has created a workflow already. It's called Flux Dev ComfyUI JSON. And it is basically something that we can download by clicking on this little button here. Once this is downloaded, we can go back to ComfyUI, click on workflows, open this JSON file, and voila, we've got the first workflow. So that being said, we can actually see, if we look at those nodes, that this one is loading the model. We've got a seed for some noise. We've got like a save image component, and we've got the prompt. So it isn't as complicated as it looks like from the beginning. And yeah, let's just generate and see what will happen. So if we click on run, we should see that the individual nodes get triggered and should at some point produce hopefully a beautiful image. Carry it out at the prompt stage, and we are hopefully ready soon. Right. Yes, and it actually looks like it shows us the progress in the tab, and perfect. We've got an image. Amazing. Looks absolutely stunning, and I think this is more than comparable to MidJourney quality. So very cool. We can just easily change the prompt. If we want to change something, we can add LoRa's, which are adapters for different styles that we can train. So there's a plethora of things to explore if we'd like to. And this is basically a very nice way to play with this tool, with this very powerful tool, in a very visual way. So that being said, there's still one thing left to do, which is turning this into an API. Very fortunately, the ComfyUI repository in and of itself project has some examples. You can actually either run this as a very simple API that allows us to just prompt it and then basically see the result. Or alternative, use WebSockets and then wait for the results to be finished. Very important for all these examples, you will need a workflow file, which is basically this. And you can very easily get this by just going back to ComfyUI and clicking on workflow and export API. And that will basically give you this very nice JSON file that you can just paste in into the scripts, which should be fairly easy to run. Wonderful. This is basically how you run this as an API. It should be fairly easy. It's just a simple script that you run with Python, and then you should be able to just generate beautiful images. Right, just as a few pointers to look into potentially further. LoRa's are an amazing tool to fine-tune those models very easily. LoRa is basically a way to add a bit more consistency when it comes to style, when it comes to character poses, and all that. So if that's something you'd like to explore, then LoRa's are definitely something to look into, and you can also train them on RunPod and then just add them as nodes, as far as I'm aware, to ComfyUI. So that's a very, very quick and brief intro to Flux Dev, how to deploy it, how to use it as an API, and how to use it visually as well. Perfect. I really hope this helps, and see you again next time.